Kmart in the 70s and 80s wasn't just a store, it was a phenomenon, but not for the reasons you'd expect. What made millions of shoppers obsessed with a place most would overlook today? And what secret ingredient turned everyday errands into something people still talk about decades later? You're about to find out. It all starts with a siren, not the kind you hear on the street, but one that lit up aisles and sent crowds rushing. The blue light special turned shopping into a sport. This flashing blue siren on wheels would appear somewhere in the store without warning, announcing surprise discounts that lasted only 15 to 30 minutes. When that light started spinning, chaos followed. Introduced in 1965, the blue light special worked like nothing else in retail. No advance notice, no predictable schedule, just a blue light cart rolling through departments with deals that could save you serious money if you moved fast enough. The concept was simple but revolutionary for discount retail. Shoppers would abandon their carts mid-aisle and sprint toward that blue light like it was giving away free money. The discounts were real, and the time limits created genuine urgency. Miss the announcement by 5 minutes, and you missed the deal entirely. Customers would literally stop conversations mid-sentence when they heard those magic words over the intercom. Randomness was the secret ingredient. Electronics for 1 hour, clothing the next. This unpredictability kept customers walking through the entire store instead of just hitting their target departments and leaving. Store managers understood that curiosity was more powerful than any advertising campaign they could design. Smart shoppers would arrive early and stay late, maximizing their chances of catching multiple deals throughout the day. The blue light special was basically gambling, except everyone was guaranteed to see some kind of payoff. People started timing their visits to catch multiple specials during longer store stays. Regular customers learned the rhythm of when announcements typically happened. The anticipation became addictive for many shoppers who found themselves staying longer than planned. Shopping became a team sport where everyone was trying to beat the same opponent, full price. Some customers would scout different departments while friends held their place in checkout lines. Others would memorize store layouts to move efficiently when the blue light appeared. The most dedicated bargain hunters developed strategies like professional athletes, timing their store visits around peak announcement periods and mapping out the fastest routes between departments to maximize their chances of catching deals. The blue light turned ordinary shoppers into retail ninjas sneaking up on discounts. Some customers developed elaborate systems for tracking announcement patterns and timing. Of course, all that running around chasing deals worked up quite an appetite. The Kmart cafeteria served real food in a world where department stores barely offered vending machines. These full-service restaurants inside the stores featured booth seating, tray service, and hot meals that could satisfy any hungry shopper. The atmosphere felt warm and welcoming, like stepping into a neighborhood diner that happened to be inside a retail store. The menu focused on comfort food that made sense. Meatloaf with mashed potatoes and gravy, fried chicken that actually had seasoning, grilled cheese sandwiches cut perfectly diagonal with crispy pickle spears. These weren't fancy dishes, but they were made right and priced fair. The cooks took pride in serving real food instead of reheated frozen meals. The portions were big enough to feed a linebacker and cheap enough for a student budget. Nobody walked away from a Kmart cafeteria still hungry. The plates came loaded with food, and the prices stayed reasonable. Families could afford to eat out without feeling guilty about spending money they needed for other things. Banana splits ruled the dessert menu like ice cream royalty. 3 generous scoops topped with whipped cream, nuts, cherries, and chocolate sauce. Parents used banana splits as bribery tools during long shopping trips. Kids would behave through hours of shopping, knowing that frozen reward was waiting at the end. The cafeterias sat right in the center of most stores, giving diners a perfect view of the shopping action. It was dinner theater where the show was other people trying to find good deals. Families would plan their shopping trips around mealtimes, using the cafeteria as a natural break point during long weekend shopping marathons that covered multiple departments and involved the whole family. Senior citizens turned the cafeterias into social clubs. They'd meet friends for coffee and conversation during off-peak hours when the booth seating was plentiful and the atmosphere was relaxed. Many seniors would nurse a cup of coffee for hours while catching up with neighbors. The smell from the cafeteria kitchen drifted through nearby departments. Fresh coffee brewing, onions cooking on the grill, apple pie cooling on windowsills. These aromas worked better than any marketing team armed with focus groups and surveys. The strategic placement meant hungry shoppers encountered tempting food smells throughout their visits. With their bellies full, families could focus on what really mattered to the kids. The toy section at Kmart stretched across enormous areas that made dedicated toy stores look tiny. These weren't just a few shelves tucked into a corner, they were vast wonderlands filled with every toy that mattered. Walking through these aisles felt like exploring a treasure map where every turn revealed new possibilities for fun and adventure. Kmart stocked toys from the biggest manufacturers in the business. Hasbro, Mattel, Fisher-Price, and Kenner all had major shelf space. This meant the hottest toys of the era were always available. Barbie dolls filled entire sections. Star Wars action figures stood ready for epic battles. The partnerships with major brands meant parents could trust the quality of what they were buying. Shopping for toys became easier than finding matching socks in a laundry basket. Toys were grouped by age ranges, so parents could quickly find appropriate options. Toddler sections featured soft toys. Elementary areas showcased action figures. Clear signs marked different age groups, making navigation simple even during busy holiday rushes when the aisles were packed with other families. The toy catalog was pure magic for children. These thick, colorful booklets arrived before major holidays and contained page after page of toys that kids didn't even know existed. Children would study every picture and create elaborate wish lists. The catalogs became bedtime reading material that sparked countless dreams about Christmas morning surprises. The toy section was basically a museum where everything was for sale and nothing was behind glass. Kids could pick up boxes, examine toys through clear plastic windows, and get excited about possibilities. This hands-on approach built anticipation and helped parents make informed decisions. Children could test the weight of action figures, read the back of game boxes, and even push buttons on electronic toys to hear sounds before their parents made purchasing decisions. The prices consistently beat specialty toy stores, sometimes by significant margins. Kmart's massive buying power with manufacturers meant better wholesale rates that translated into real savings for families. Parents would comparison shop and discover the same popular toys cost 20 or 30% less at Kmart than at other retailers. Holiday shopping turned the toy section into controlled madness. Lines formed for the hottest items. Employees restocked shelves multiple times daily. Christmas shopping at Kmart's toy section was like Black Friday before Black Friday existed. The energy was electric, with excited children pointing out their favorites while parents tried to mentally calculate budgets. Store employees would wear comfortable shoes during the holiday season, knowing they'd be walking miles helping families navigate the crowded aisles and locate specific items on increasingly long wish lists. Parents became expert negotiators, turning toy aisles into diplomatic summits with their children. Smart parents learned to set expectations and budgets before entering the magical wonderland. But finding the perfect toy was just half the battle for many families. Layaway was the financial innovation that made dreams affordable through time and small payments. This program allowed customers to reserve items with a modest deposit, then pay the balance over weeks or months without any interest charges. The system treated customers with respect and dignity, understanding that good people sometimes needed extra time to afford the things their families wanted most. The process was beautifully simple. Find something you wanted but couldn't afford immediately. Take it to the layaway counter. Put down 10 to 20% of the total cost. Walk away knowing that item was yours, safely stored until you finish paying. The staff would tag your items with your name and keep them secure in organized storage areas. Layaway turned expensive purchases into manageable installments that even tight budgets could handle. Payment schedules worked around real life. Some people paid weekly when they got their paychecks. Others made payments twice monthly. The flexibility meant families could buy quality items without going into debt or using credit cards they couldn't afford to pay off. Christmas shopping relied heavily on layaway programs. Parents would start in September, putting gifts on layaway and slowly paying them off by December. Santa's workshop was actually the layaway department all along. Children would walk past the layaway counter, never knowing their Christmas presents were stored just behind those doors, waiting for pickup day. The layaway staff became unofficial financial counselors without the fancy degrees. They'd suggest putting sale items on layaway to lock in discounted prices. They'd help customers adjust payment schedules when circumstances changed. They'd call with friendly reminders when payments were due. These employees understood that families sometimes faced unexpected expenses, job changes, or seasonal income fluctuations that required flexibility and patience rather than rigid payment enforcement that ignored real-life challenges. The program offered dignity to customers who couldn't afford immediate purchases. Instead of feeling embarrassed about budget limitations, people could make deposits and walk away with confidence. The items were theirs. They just needed time to finish the transaction. Getting your layaway items felt like Christmas morning, even when it wasn't Christmas. Pickup days were special events for families. Children would get excited about retrieving items they'd helped choose weeks earlier. Parents felt satisfaction from completing their payment commitments and providing for their families through careful planning. The layaway pickup process became a family celebration, with parents often surprising their children by revealing items that had been secretly stored away, making ordinary purchases feel like special gifts that had been earned through patience and financial discipline. Layaway turned shopping into a long-term investment strategy that even Wall Street could respect. The program taught families patience and financial discipline through practical retail experience. Speaking of things families needed, everyone had to get dressed somehow. Affordable clothing filled massive sections of every Kmart store, offering practical options for every family member. The clothing department understood that people needed everyday outfits, not fashion magazine looks, work clothes that survived washing machines, school outfits that handled playground activities. Every piece was designed to handle real-life situations without breaking family budgets or falling apart after a few washes. Exclusive brands gave Kmart clothing personality without premium prices. Jaclyn Smith brought affordable elegance to women's sections. Route 66 offered casual styles that teenagers actually wanted to wear. These exclusive partnerships meant customers could find unique styles that weren't available at competing discount stores, giving Kmart clothing its own identity. The clothes had enough style to avoid embarrassment and enough durability to survive real life. Weekly deliveries kept selections fresh with different colors, patterns, and seasonal options. The constant flow of new merchandise meant return visits always revealed fresh possibilities for updating wardrobes without breaking budgets. Children's clothing made particular financial sense at Kmart. Kids outgrow everything quickly, so expensive garments become costly mistakes within months. Parents could buy current sizes without worrying about wasted money. The prices were low enough that families could afford to replace items when kids hit growth spurts or wore holes through knees and elbows during playground adventures. You could outfit an entire family's feet without visiting 3 different specialty stores. Work boots for tough jobs, athletic shoes for sports, dress shoes for special occasions. The footwear selection covered every practical need at prices that made buying multiple pairs possible. Parents could afford to get their kids both school shoes and play shoes, ensuring proper footwear for different activities. Basic items like underwear, socks, and undershirts were always well-stocked and reasonably priced. These essentials wear out regularly and need frequent replacement. Kmart made these necessary purchases painless by keeping them affordable and available in multi-packs that offered better value. Shopping for clothes at Kmart was like having a personal stylist who actually understood your budget. The selection was broad enough for different tastes. The prices were low enough to buy multiple items. The quality was good enough to last until you needed new sizes or styles. Sales events brought additional savings to already reasonable prices, making it possible for families to update entire wardrobes during seasonal clearances when smart shoppers could stretch their clothing budgets further than anywhere else while still finding styles that look current and fashionable. Kmart proved that looking good didn't require taking out a second mortgage on your house. Fashion became accessible to working families who prioritized practicality over designer labels and trends. Clothing was only scratching the surface of what made Kmart special. Over 60,000 different items filled every Kmart store, creating a retail universe where you could literally build and furnish an entire lifestyle under one roof. Need a screwdriver? Check. Want a goldfish? Got it. The sheer scope amazed first-time visitors who expected a simple discount store but discovered a complete marketplace for modern living. The electronics department showcased the latest technology when technology still seemed magical. Television sets with actual dials, stereo systems that played records, cassettes, and radio. Shopping for electronics felt like visiting the future if the future had reasonable prices. Customers could afford to bring modern conveniences into their homes without taking out loans or maxing out credit cards. Home goods covered everything needed to make a house functional. Kitchen utensils for cooking, bedding for sleeping, decorative items for personality. Hardware sections had screws, nails, tools, and basic lumber. The selection was comprehensive enough that homeowners could tackle most projects and decorating needs without visiting multiple specialty stores across town. Garden centers bloomed with seasonal possibilities. Spring brought flowers and seeds. Summer offered grilling equipment. Fall featured decorative items. Kmart became a one-stop solution for life maintenance. Whether you needed to fix something, grow something, or improve something around your home, the answer was probably waiting somewhere in those aisles. Health and beauty aisles rivaled dedicated drugstores in their scope and selection. Makeup brands, hair care products, vitamins, and over-the-counter medications filled multiple aisles. The variety was comprehensive enough that families could handle most of their personal care needs during regular shopping visits. Larger locations included specialized services. Photo labs developed film when photography meant actual film rolls. Auto centers changed oil and installed tires. The automotive section served car owners with basic maintenance supplies and accessories at competitive prices. The variety created unexpected discoveries that made every shopping trip an adventure. Customers would come for laundry detergent and leave with camping gear they didn't know they needed. The massive selection meant you could solve problems you didn't even know you had, discovering solutions for household challenges while browsing aisles you never planned to visit during your original shopping mission. Regular customers would joke that they came for one item and left with 10, but the prices were so reasonable that even impulse purchases felt justified and practical rather than wasteful. Shopping at Kmart was like having a treasure hunt where all the treasure was actually useful and affordable. Every aisle promised discoveries that could solve real household problems and daily challenges. But having all those options meant nothing without the right atmosphere to enjoy them. Kmart stores became the unofficial town squares of suburban America, where neighbors ran into each other and shopping turned into socializing. These weren't just retail locations, they were community gathering places. The relaxed pace and friendly atmosphere made every visit feel less like a chore and more like a chance to connect with the people who lived nearby. Social magic happened naturally in every aisle. You'd bump into your child's teacher while comparing laundry detergents. Your neighbor would wave from the hardware section. Running errands became reunion opportunities. You might discover your old high school friend worked in the electronics department, or learn that your neighbor's mom was the friendly cashier who always remembered your name. Store employees lived in the same communities they served, creating personal connections. They knew customers by name and remembered family details. The cashier might ask about your son's baseball season. This personal attention made every transaction feel like a conversation with a friend rather than a business exchange with a stranger. Community bulletin boards near store entrances told the stories of local life. Garage sale announcements, lost pet descriptions, babysitting service offers. These boards connected neighbors efficiently. People would stop to read the notices while entering or leaving, staying informed about everything happening in their neighborhood through handwritten messages and photocopied flyers. Kmart became the collection point where community caring turned into community action. Charity donation bins collected winter coats. Toy drives supported underprivileged children. School supply donations assisted local education programs. The store served as a central hub where neighbors could contribute to causes that mattered in their immediate area, making charitable giving convenient and visible to inspire others to participate in community support efforts that strengthened the entire neighborhood. The store culture encouraged leisurely browsing instead of hurried shopping. People would walk slowly through departments, enjoy chance encounters, and take time making purchasing decisions. This relaxed pace allowed for spontaneous discoveries and meaningful conversations with other customers. Customer interactions fostered cooperation rather than competition. Shoppers would help each other reach high shelves without being asked. Parents would briefly watch strangers' children during fitting room visits. People shared information about sales and deals they discovered while shopping. The store environment encouraged helpfulness instead of selfishness. Local hiring practices meant employees understood regional preferences and seasonal patterns specific to their communities. They knew which products sold well in their area based on local climate and cultural preferences. They could recommend items based on firsthand knowledge of what worked best for families in their specific geographic region. This local expertise made shopping more efficient because employees could guide customers toward products that actually made sense for their lifestyle, climate, and budget rather than pushing generic recommendations that might not work in their particular situation. In a world before social media brought people together online, Kmart brought them together in person. These human connections made Kmart more than a retail destination. It was a place where shopping supported community, where commerce created friendships, and where everyday errands felt meaningful. Kmart proved that the best social network was actually a physical network of neighbors, helping neighbors find good deals on everyday necessities. Community connections happen naturally through shared shopping experiences and mutual assistance.